What are you wearing?
A Canadian tuxedo.
Canadian.
Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
Who are you, Blues fan? We're bleeding blue with you. Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues!
Are you ready for the BlueNote Fan Report? Coming to you live from Honolulu. Hello, hello, hello. It has been a big, long break. Yes, I needed it. I know a lot of you have been asking, or some of you have been asking, am I doing shows? Am I doing shows? I needed the break. I needed to recharge the battery a little bit, to breathe. I had some writing I needed to finish, worked on some articles. I work for a veterans magazine. February 3rd was my cutoff. I got 3 of the 4 done by the 3rd. Needed a couple extra days for one of them. Really proud of what I turned out. I've had people look at them. For the most part, they've loved them. I'm not sure. I don't know if he will be or not. He's asking about Thompson. If Thompson will be in, I don't know. I don't know what the status is. I'm not connected enough to. I used to have a lot of the reporters on my Twitter, but my Twitter kind of took a little bit of a dump, and I don't have as much of that on there now. Low battery, have to run to the store. Be right back on if I lose you. No problem, man. Thank you. I appreciate that, E. And today somebody reached out to me. I could be writing some more sports stuff. Could be. I haven't completely decided yet. A local website. I'm not going to go into the name yet. I mean, if the guy shows up today, we'll talk about it. But if he doesn't, I'm not going to put it out there. I mean, I've talked about it before. I've talked about his website. I've been on his show. He's been on my show. So it's not that big of a deal. It's just, I take a break sometimes I try not to put stuff out there. I try not to put bad, I try not to put things out that don't happen, and this could still not happen. But if it does, it would give me a chance to write some more, and that might help my mental status a little bit. Today, I'm hoping, and I'm going to wait a little bit before I get going, because when the break first started, Lance reached out to me, wanted to know if I want to do a show, kind of grading the players or grading the first half, and I said sure, but got hard for me to set it up. I emailed him, or I sent him a message yesterday, and he seemed interested today. However, I hadn't heard back from him, so we'll kind of wait and see. If that doesn't happen, it's going to be a you show, meaning if you're responding, I stay. If you're not responding, I'm going to go. Right? I mean, I love you guys, I really do, but just doing this to hear myself speak, that's not as good as everybody thinks it is, right? And I'm really trying to focus on my mental health. I really am. It's not been good lately. I mean that. Just a lot of things going on, a lot of stuff that's been bothering me. And it's why I needed the break. That's why I needed it, and I took it. Hopefully some more people will show up, because if not, this is going to be a short show. As far as, if I'm grading the first half of the Blues, right? I will probably give them a better grade than most people will. I really will, right? I know what Armstrong said about the possibility of this team contending for a top 3 spot in the division. I don't believe that at all. That was season ticket holder speak, right? That's exactly what that was. Because up until that, his this is going to be a rebuild. This is going to take some time. Well, the moves that he made hurt season ticket sales. I appreciate that. I really do, my friend. I appreciate that. They really hurt season ticket sales, and I think ownership might have asked him to step that back a little bit. This team, when the season started, was out of the 8 teams in the Central, they were 6th or 7th. Probably more 6th, maybe 5th or 6th. Right? I think 6th was probably the better spot. Right? I saw Arizona being worse. I saw Chicago being worse. Right? I really did. I think with Arizona, it doesn't matter what players you have until they get that ownership situation taken care of in some way, shape, or form. You're going to have this issue. They're just not. They're just going to struggle. So I can only hope that they're going to get something figured out, and they'll get better. But when you look at Minnesota, when you look at Nashville, at the beginning of the season, I felt they were better teams than the Blues. The Blues are ahead of both of those teams, right? They're tied with Nashville in points, but they have games in hand, so they're ahead of them in points percentage. They're 4th in the division. They're nowhere near that 3rd place spot. They're like 12 points out of 3rd place. It's like, to me, would be impossible for them to get that 3rd place. They would have to have another record run, and then during that record run, have one of the teams ahead of them play 500 hockey. If they did that, then there's a chance that they could challenge for that spot. Is it possible? Yes. Is it probable? Don't think so. Right? The Winnipeg Jets, they're at 49 games, and they have 65 points. So they have the same amount of games as the Blues at 65 points. Now, the Blues have some game in hands on both the Dallas Stars and Colorado. They have 2 on the Stars and 3 on Colorado. But let's just stick with the Jets right now with the same amount of points. The Jets have 65 points. The Blues have 54. That's an 11-point difference. That's 5.5 games. That's 5.5 games. You have to get 5.5 wins more than the Jets get over the same period of time to catch up. Again, possible? Yes. Probable? No. Let's go back to the last game. Now, this is going to be me kind of looking at, I said the grade, right? Well, when I look at the grade here, this should be a 6th place team. They're in 4th. That's telling me they were better than expected. I'm going to give them a solid B. I really am. Now, you may not like that. I think a lot of people would give them a C minus, even a D plus. Right? This team started poorly. I put that. Now, this is going to shock everybody. Right? And it's going to kind of revert. It's reversing a little bit of what I'm saying, but if you hear me out, you'll understand why I'm saying it. This team, starting slowly, was purely, to me, a lot more on Armstrong than it was Berube. And, oh, wait a minute. I know I can hear you guys already. I can hear Bob Stradamus out there somewhere. I know he's not watching. I think he's out on vacation with the kids. Go, oh, you're flip-flopping. I'm not flip-flopping. The reason I say this is because Armstrong had the opportunity to remove Berube earlier and didn't. If he removes Berube earlier and puts another type of coach into this roster earlier than what they did, they would be challenging for that third spot. That is why I'm saying what I'm saying. Does that make any amount of sense to anybody that is listening to me? All 5 of you. And I'm sure one of them's probably me somewhere. One on Guy Bensing on Twitter, that's probably me. 2 on me, and 2 on the BlueNote Fan Report on YouTube. One of those Z, I'm not sure who the other person is. They haven't said anything. I just feel like this team, while they're as good as the Jets. They are. They're as good as the Jets. They are absolutely as good as the Jets in my eyes. I'm going to stand by that. And the Jets are in a good spot. If this team had made the decision much earlier than what it did, they could be challenging the Jets right now. Right? Now, I want to go back a little bit to the last game. I heard nothing but negativity over that game against Columbus. And that's not how I saw it. Right? And I keep seeing this. Every time the Blues lose a game, it's always because the Blues played bad. That's not the case all the time. Right? And I know what Bannister said. I get what Bannister said about there being a bunch of pedestrians out there. Maybe on offense they were, but that was a hell of a defensive game. I thought that was a very well-played defensive game. JJ, thank you. I thought that was a very well defensively played game on both ends of the ice. Not just us, not just the Blues, but I thought Columbus played a very smart, very intelligent game. Bennington was outstanding. The offense wasn't there, but the defense was. It's so funny. I've heard so many people complain about the defense on this team. But when the defense is good, they turn around and complain about the offense. It shocks me when that happens. Right? Now, I'm trying to pull something up here. Give me a moment. We're going to look at individual Blues players, starting at the top based on points and going down from there. Right? And I'm going to assign them a grade. I was hoping Lance would be here. He's not. When I talk about a player, I want to hear your grades too. So I know there's a 15-20 second delay. So I will make that player. I will let you post your grades. And then we'll go on from there. I know for some of my players, the grades are going to be harsher than most people. For others, they're going to be better. I know that. In my eyes, nobody is playing at an. I don't think anybody's playing at an F, though that could change. There's some incompletes here, right? But I do think a couple of guys could be considered playing at an A, right? And we'll go from there, right? We'll start with Robert Thomas, the assistant captain. Just signed a big 8-year deal worth $8.25 million, I think it is. Oh, Chrissy's here. Hey, Chris, how you doing, sir? If I don't think it struck my island because I didn't feel it. I don't know anything about it. I'd have to look. Let me go to one of the local websites and see what I can find out. It may not have been this island. Though I do remember one of, let's see. Okay, so it rattled the Big Island. They're saying the shaking was felt across the state. I didn't feel it. And I rarely feel earthquakes. I rarely do. Okay, so they're saying 5.7. You know what? I might even have been taking a nap during it. There's no tsunami threat. So it looks like everything's cool. I don't see any issues. It was on the Big Island, not the island I live on, so everything's good. Robert Murray says a low-scoring game now means that neither team played well. The difference is fans don't see the physical play teams played in the 80s, 90s. And Robert, you might be right. You might be right. And I do get that the offense wasn't as good as it should be. But I thought that defensively it was a very well played game. Right? Very well played game. And the Blues had chances to score. They just didn't. So let's get back to this. Robert Thomas. What is your grade on Robert Thomas? Right? We'll start there. Robert Thomas, number 18. He has played 49 games. He has 17 goals. He has 35 assists and 52 points. He is tied for the lead in goals. He leads in assists and points. He has a plus 15, which also leads the team. He has 34 power play minutes. He has 2 power play goals, 1 shorthanded goal, 2 game-winning goals. What is your grade on Robert Thomas? Robert says, it seems to me the team kind of follows Thomas. If he plays well, the team follows suit. I give him a B-. Not good. B-. A- from E. Guido. Anybody else out there? JJ? You driving? Are you driving, JJ? Chris, you still with us or did you run away? I think Chris might have ran away. No issues. For me, now I guess I'm talking to Robert Nee. I'll go with a solid B+ here. He has played extremely well. He leads the team in goals. He's tied for the lead in goals. He's tied for leads assists, leads in points. He should have been the captain in my eyes. He's played well. He continues to play well, and he's taken a leadership role. I give him plenty of credit for that. The next guy. You ready for the next guy? Pavel Buchnevich. He has played 47 games of the Blues. How many have the Blues played? 51? Or no, 49. I think they played 49. Or no, I have to go now. I don't have it up, so I'd have to go back and look. But I don't think Thomas has missed a game, has he? Yeah, I think 49's right. I think we played 49. gives Bushnevich an A+. Right? What do you say, Robert? What do you say on Bushnevich? Give Bushnevich a B. Pavel a B. I'm with you. I'm a little bit higher. I'm with the same that I'm putting him with with Thomas at a B+. He has really separated himself and proved that he's up there when it comes to, the NHL talent level. He really has. I mean, he's sought after. I mean, apparently teams are looking at him, but I don't, again, pre-COVID, yeah, he might have gotten traded. Post-COVID, I don't see it. Right? I don't see it. Okay. Now this is going to be the one that the polarizing one, the first of the polarizing ones. Jordan Kyrou has played in 49 games. He has 14 goals, 23 assists for 37 points. He is third in goals, second in assists, and third in points. He has a -5. He has 1 power play goal. Right? Jordan Kyrou. What is your ranks on Jordan Kyrou? Actually, I have 1A. I have 1A on this team. E gives him a B. Well, let's see what Robert says. I have 1A, Robert. I have 1A. There's no doubt in my mind that this player gets an A. There's to me, any other grade that you would give this player would I don't know how to say it. Would question your hockey knowledge if you're giving this guy anything other than an A. But that's just my opinion. Kyrou is a C+. Now I'm not with you on this one. I'm more with E. I think Kyrou has done everything he's been asked of to the best of his ability, and he's tried to do things that weren't asked of him, even though that's not his game. I give Kyrou a B-. I give Kyrou a B-. So I'm not far off you there, Robert, but I'm close. I give Kyrou a B-. This is the next polarizing one. This one, I'm guaranteeing you guys are not going to get my grade on this. So the next one is your captain, Brayden Schenn. What do you rank Brayden Schenn? Well, just hold on there, Robert. We'll get there, okay, bud? Slow your roll, dude. Brayden Schenn has played in all 49 games. He is 13 goals, 14 assists, 27 points. He is tied for 4th in goals. He is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's like 7th or 8th in assists. And he's 4th in points. He has a -17. Right? He has come forward of late. He has 2 power play goals, 1 shorthanded goal. He has 3 game-winning goals. And he has 2 overtime goals. I'm not grading him solely on numbers here. All right. E says a B-. And Robert says, hi, Sandy. That's tough because he's been 2 different players. And you're right. It feels like he has been 2 different players. And for that, he is a D+ for me. Right? I feel like he is the C has hurt him, right? And he is not. I don't feel like he's the locker room leader on this team. I feel like it's Robert Thomas. You even said it earlier, Robert. It seemed like this team goes as Robert goes. Well, it should be it goes as the captain goes. Well, to me, that's why I just don't. Right? Shin was Berube's captain. I don't think. Oh, wow. What a shot. Pittsburgh just tied the game up against Marc-Andre Fleury. That was a good hell of a shot. I just don't think that he should have been the C. I really don't. I think it should have been Thomas. I think Thomas is going to be here for a lot longer. A couple of years longer, maybe longer. I don't know. But it just seems like that's what it should have been. So it's a D plus for me. It really is. It's a D plus. Maybe you can slip into a C minus. Right? Now another one of the polarizing ones is Brandon Saad. Brandon Saad's played in all 49 games. I think they played 49. I think that's right. Yeah, 49 games. Okay. Played in 49 games. Yeah, but you're talking Thomas or Shin is here. He's got like 3 more years, 4 more years. He's got some decent time left on that contract, right? And what I've seen so far, it hasn't impressed me. Maybe the second half he will kick it up. I don't know. And you say you'd rather have a vet. How could you not call Robert Thomas a vet? Even at 25, he's been in the league since he was 19. He's since the 18-19 season. So this is his 6th season. 6 years in, that's a vet, my friend. For Saad, you're going C plus. You're higher than me. I'm a solid C on Saad. I don't think Saad is as. I don't think Saad is done as good as he should. I really don't. I feel like Saad is. It almost feels like Saad might be going through some of the motions. Now he does have 3 power play goals. He does have 3 game-winning goals. But there's just and most of it's come of late. So maybe there's a transition going on in this team. They finally got over that three game over 500 hump, and that's helped. I think there's 5 games over right now. But we'll kind of go from there. Well, I mean, there's only a couple of you guys. So you know what? Instead of just going through everybody, I will go to my A guy. Right. And I said, I feel like this player has played to his level. And the thing is with this player, he has outplayed his numbers. He absolutely has outplayed his numbers. Right. There is no doubt in my mind that this player has played better than his numbers. He has he's done everything that's asked of him. And then some. Right? And you're right, it's Bennington. Bennington is playing at a solid A. Right? There is no way I could give Bennington anything other than an A. No way whatsoever. Right? Even with his numbers, he has 35 games. He started 33. He's 17, 13, and 2. He's got a 292 and a 908. He's got 1 assist. He's got 2 shutouts. I feel like I feel like he has played above those numbers. Right? Oh, I think he can too. I think he's right there, if not better. And actually, I don't know if I think that I don't think he changes his game as his captain. I don't. I don't. I think he's playing. I think he's taken that leadership role already. All right. He was my number one. Shen was my number two. Falk was my number three. I knew that Pareko was going to get a letter, but Pareko wasn't in my in my captain talk. Now there's a player that has played well above expectation. I mean, way above expectation. I will give Pareko a solid B plus, if not an A minus. I think he's right there. He's at 89, 90, or 91 points, somewhere right in there. I have seen some things on the internet about grading systems, and the fact that you're saying 60% or less is failing. In all actuality, it's not. If you get more answers right than you get wrong, that's not failing. But yeah, same here. 55 B plus. I'm with you. Right. I think that he has done everything. Now, Hoffer has played in 18 games, started 16. He's 9-8-0. He has a 289 and a 909 with one shutout and 2 penalty minutes. I will tell you, I think those are his numbers. I don't think I think he's played at his numbers. And to me, that's a C. He's still a rookie. I think he can be better. I really think he can be better. He's still young. I think he's only 22, 23. Hoffer is a C to me. I guess we got to talk about this. I don't think look. You want to come on, Wendy, and talk about this a little bit? We can debate this a little bit. I think the NHL is making a huge mistake. I really do. How many haven't they had a couple of original 6 matchups in their outdoor games? I hope so, but he's got a ways to go. He's not there. Oh, you're watching the Hawks, okay. We got an early game tomorrow. We play at 8 a.m. my time. I think it's noon local time. Right? What are the Hawks doing right now? I don't have the things up on me. Last I looked, they were losing, which is good because the guy I'm playing in fantasy's got 2-1. There we go. He's got Mrazek, so I want him to go. So you've already had 2, and those were home games, right? I think so. Didn't you play the Red Wings? You played in Wrigley, and you played the Bruins at South Bend in Notre Dame. Right? So to me, I think the NHL is making a huge Huge mistake by going all in on Connor Bedard, a kid that has not proved himself yet. He has a broken jaw now and can't play. There's a good chance he has something, an injury, that's going to prevent him from playing in the Winter Classic. And then when they announced it, he was the only player from the Blackhawks that was there. This game, as much as I want to go, and yes, I'm going to try and go, is nothing but a Bedard coronation. That's all it is. Right? And I'm not there. I don't think that they... Every single Winter Classic is sold out. Every single one has made money. Every single one of them. And you know what? If they do it on the first again, they're going to have the same ratings that they had for the Vegas Golden Knights and Seattle, because they're going to do it opposite the college football games. If they're smart, they do it on the 31st or they do it on the 2nd. Robert says I got to go, but one more grade I'd like to give would be Letty, a solid B or a B+. I think he's been overlooked, but I think he's played very well and has helped. I'll agree with that. I'm with you on that. I hope to see you tomorrow then, Robert. Have a good night. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be on. I mean, there's only a few people watching me right now. David AC, Anthony Stewart, Travis Partington, and JJ, thank you for the thumb in the air. Greatly appreciate it. What is it? Chicago's been in what was that I read? 9 outdoor games. 9. When you have teams that have yet to play in one. Dante's Inferno. Well, okay, now the reason they had it on the 2nd was because the first was on a Sunday. And they've done this before. When the first is on a Sunday, they moved the game to the national holiday, which is the 2nd. Hey, bud. Right? I think if you're going to put this game up against the college football playoffs, which is what they'll be, you are asking yourself for trouble. Right? I get it. You want this to be the be all and end all, get all these eyes on it. The problem is those games are going to be played all day long. There's no period in there where you have it to yourself. Now, the NHL does something really interesting on Super Bowl Sunday. They play. They play on Super Bowl Sunday. When do they play? Early. They're not trying to put a game on up against the Super Bowl. They try and do that with the playoffs. They try and keep these games away from the playoffs a little bit. They can't completely, but they do. They play less games. I go back and look at it. I look at the Sundays, right? Let's look at Sunday hockey. Starting in October, 2 games, 4 games. November, 2 games, 5 games, 5 games, 5 games, 5 games, 8 games. Now, this is in late December, mid-December. 5 games. And they take the Christmas break. No games. Then the 31st, New Year's Eve, they had 9 games. That's the 9 and the 8 are the only times that they really put games. And that was kind of towards the end of the NFL season when they spread their games out a little bit. So, I get it. I just think that they're, and here in March, after there's no hockey, so after the Super Bowl, you have 3 games, 7 games, 6 games, 5 games, 7 games, 10 games, 1 game, 9 games, 4 games. See the difference there? They try not to compete against it. You ever notice Anaheim rarely play on Saturdays? They play a ton on Sundays for some reason. I don't know why. There's probably something with the a lot of times that has to do with local regulations and things like that. It's why a lot of times teams don't fly out of like when they play games in LA and Anaheim and then go up to San Jose. They don't fly out that night because you can't fly into San Jose after a certain time, so they wait until the next morning to fly out. Right? Or there's been a few that I know that have taken a bus up there. Right? That kind of, sure, they're not used to that anymore. But look, I think that the NHL is shooting itself in the foot by constantly having the same team playing this game. Right? The purpose of this game is to showcase the league. If you're on, and here's the thing, there is, and this is not a little thing, it's a big thing. There's a large fraction of fans that feel the league is rigged. There's a large fraction of fans that feel the league is rigged, and this is part of the reason. This is absolutely part of the reason. David says, back to in the day, you cannot buy beer on Sunday, or was it watered down beer? I think you could buy 3.2 beer, 3.0 beer, something like that. I don't think they played a lot of Sunday ones. I'm not sure with football. I know they played football. I'm not sure. I'm guessing that they might have had exemptions. But I do know for the large, when I was a kid, bars were closed on Sundays. You had to sell 50, in order for you to be open and sell alcohol, you had to have a 50% of your sales had to be food or more. Right? I knew that. I used to work at before I went in the Navy, I stopped working at the roast beef place. And I worked at a bar in the daytime and a little bit at night. But because I wasn't 21, they didn't want me working nights, except there were a few nights they wanted me working. But yeah, that was interesting. It is 9 your time there, isn't it? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, I screwed up. Wow, it's only 4 hours now. Oh, wow, my bad, Lance. You can jump on though. I'm still good to go. My bad, man. I forgot about the time and change. Right? I should have said 8 your time. My bad, bud. My bad. Shoot me. I personally would have been okay with it if they put the Coyotes in the Classic instead of us. That's not a bad one there. Jump on, Lance. I want to hear you, man. If you can. Right? I'm sorry, bud. I'm so used to the other one, the other time zone, and it's a 5-hour difference. So between me and St. Louis, and that's what I was thinking. So yeah, I forgot that 9 o'clock is 5 p.m. here. Okay, yeah, I screwed that up. Oh, here we go. Can you camera me today, or are you not feeling it, bud?
Hold on. Let me see. Hold on.
Okay, no problem.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Oh, give me a second.
You're fine. You're fine, bud. I'm sorry about that, Lance. I got totally mixed up with the time change. Come on, Rangers, score. Robert Thomas is 24th overall in points. It's not bad.
That's funny. You mentioned him and his picture's right to the left of my screen or the right of your screen.
Say again?
The picture behind me is of Robert Thomas.
Oh, okay. There we go. We got Lance Man here now. So you wanted to kind of grade the players or grade the team,
Yeah, we
and we
can do
did
that.
some of it, but we can go over them.
No, that's all right. We can leave off of where you left off.
Well, I mean, there wasn't a lot of people watching, so I was stopping it. But I want to hear what you got to say on some of these guys. I want to hear where you're at. So give me just a quick second. Let me bring this up. Okay, so we'll start at the top. Robert Thomas, what's your grade on him?
I think he's played well. I give him a B minus. He's not been perfect, and sometimes it seems like he's not into the game. But every player has those type of games. I give him a B minus.
I mean, he's 25 years old. I mean, he's a
Yeah.
veteran, but he's young. I think I had him at B plus. I might forget this, but I think I had him at B plus.
Yeah, we're close.
Bushnevich.
Buchnevich is a tough one because, man, when he plays well, he plays really well. In most games, he plays well. I would say a B.
I think I have Bushnevich at a B plus also.
Yeah.
I really did. I think Bushnevich is putting himself into the conversation of top tier player.
He's played really well.
Right. This is the polarizing one, probably the most polarizing one. Jordan Kyrou.
I would give him an A for his defense getting better because regardless of what people say, his plus minus is better. And I know that, that's a line stat. That's not a personal stat and a team's kind of stat when he's out there. But he forechecks more. He goes after the puck more. When he loses the puck, he tries to get it back. I'm going to give him an A on defense being much better. And I'm going to give him a B minus to a C on scoring.
Well, I mean, he's got 14 goals, which is third. He's got 23 assists, which is second, and 37 points, which is third.
Yep.
He's a -5. He was like a -20 last year, right?
Yeah, he was -16 to -20. He's really, really improved his play.
Yeah.
I could understand if somebody gave him a B plus, or a B. I understand that.
I'm with a B to a B plus on him.
Yep, we're close.
And guys, if I contradict myself, if I contradict myself, let me know. Right. Next one is a tough one. I graded this guy really hard. Braden Shin.
Last 8 games, an A. Before that, a C minus to a D. He did not show up until like I said, last 8 to 10 games. He's our captain, and you can't grade him this way. And he works hard every game, and you just don't see it. Trust me, I see it. There's been games where he's not the Braden Shin that we've seen for years before. Yeah. Before we traded Ryan O'Reilly, he was not the Ryan O'Reilly that he was from a year or two before that.
Yeah.
And like I said, last 8 to 10 games, I give him an A. Before that, a C minus to a D.
I give him a D plus overall.
Yep.
I don't think he was ready to be the C. I don't think he handled it well.
Nope.
I mean, he might be handling it better now, but I really don't think he was handling it well.
Nope.
Brandon Saad, that was kind of the last one I did. Well, no, I did a couple more.
Brandon Saad, he's so. He reminds me a lot of Jaden Schwartz, and the fact that, but I think Jaden Schwartz is a better player. He reminds me of a guy that some games you're like, hey, God, he's playing well tonight. And then for 6-7 games in a row, you'll ask yourself, was Brandon Saad even on the ice? And, I know he's not making a ton of money, but for what the Blues are expecting out of him, he's been the player he's been when he was in Chicago and when he was in Colorado. He's up and down constantly. And he can't seem to stay healthy for a full 82-game season.
Yeah, he's a C minus to me.
Yep, me too.
Right? We can do this one. What would you grade Drew Bannister?
So far, considering what he came into, I think he's opened up the offense, and there are some games you can see where the players kind of divert and go back and fall back on what Berube taught him.
They did that in the last game.
Yeah, definitely in the last game. They looked like Berube's team.
And go ahead, and then I'll say what I got to say.
For the most part, I give him a B to B minus because I think he was giving guys that some guys weren't given the effort, and you can't just turn it on. If you're not playing for a coach because you don't respect him, you can't just turn that on instantly. It can take 10, 20, 25 games to do that. So I gave him a B to B minus. I don't want him as our head coach. I want somebody from the outside of the organization with a
Yeah.
fresh look. But I think as an interim coach, he's done a pretty good job.
Yeah, I'm with you. If you're going to be within the organization, the only guy that I want is Ott. The only guy I want is Ott. He's still close enough to his playing days that he's played with some of these guys, and I think he understands the younger game. But he has struggled with the power play this year. I will give him that. Now, the last game, everybody, I mean, even Bannister slammed these guys. Oh, there was everyone was a pedestrian out there. I don't know what I was looking at, but I saw a hell of a defensive game. I give Columbus a lot of credit for the way they came in, the way they played that game. Right? They played a very good, very smart defensive game, and so did the Blues.
Yep.
Bennington was outstanding.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know why hundreds of, and I'm not joking, hundreds of people combined between Facebook and Twitter and people that were there, it was a trash game. It was the worst game I've ever seen. Trust me, I've seen some bad games. It was two teams playing a very strong defensive style. And yes, Columbus has not been a good team, but I have watched them in some games against some very good teams where they play a very similar wait and see, kind of a Berube type of a defense game. Yeah. And that's what they did. And I thought it was really entertaining. I don't know what people.
Yeah. No, I did too. Here's the thing. And I've said this so many times. Now, first of all, my rating of Bannister, I'm going with an A right now. I think he's come in, he's changed culture.
I can understand that.
He's changed culture. That's, to me, that's the hardest thing to do is change culture. Trust me, from my military days, I've seen ships, whole ships that started with a bad culture. And it never changed, no matter what CO was there. And I've seen ships with a very good culture. Never changed, no matter what CO was there, because culture is a very hard thing to change.
Yeah, it is. It is because it starts with a coach, but it goes to the locker room and boils over on the ice.
Yeah.
And it's like I said, you know, it takes time to make some of those changes. Like I said, 25, 30 games sometimes, 20 at the minimum. You can't come in.
Changing. I see it changing culture.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where I'm there. Now, when you look, here's the problem. When we look at these teams and we look at a team like Columbus or Chicago or who else is at the bottom right now? The Sharks. Or who else is down there at the bottom? Phoenix, I think. Right? When we look at these teams, we compare them to the teams at the top of the league and we go, oh, these teams up here, they're great, and these teams down here suck. The problem is you're looking at those teams with a high-powered electron microscope.
Yeah, and I don't know if people understand this or not. It's like Grant Fuhr and I used to talk about. If you're good enough to make the NHL and be there permanently, like for a full season, you're a good hockey player. The only difference between good goalies or bad players and good players or good goalies, it's up here. You know, yes, the skills got a lot to do with it, but you know, any team can be. Columbus last year, I don't care how good Boston was playing. If Columbus was on their game, Columbus could beat Boston.
Yeah, no, and that's the difference between these teams. When you look at them with an electron microscope, is a catechism. But when you look at them with the naked eye, the difference is infinitesimal. If you took Connor McDavid off of Edmonton and put him on Columbus and then took a bottom 4-4, a bottom 6 forward and replaced that with McDavid, these teams, when they played each other, would be a hell of a lot closer, and if not even. One player, replacing one player. That's the difference. That's the thing that player can do.
Well, you got to look at it this way. When the Blues won the Cup, you and I talked all season before they started winning with Berube and before Bennington came in. You and I talked all season that the only guy that was showing up was Ryan O'Reilly. And
Yeah.
eventually his attitude and his wherewithal and the way he played the game, it wore off on the other players. But for the first half of the season, he was the only guy that was trying. And I'm going to tell you this right now. If Ryan O'Reilly would not have been there at the beginning of 2018, this team does not win that cup. I don't even know if they make the playoffs.
Well, here's the thing. The schedule for 19, there's a lot of things that come into play.
Yeah, there is.
Right? First thing that comes into play for 19 was the schedule. The schedule is very favorable for the Blues towards the end of the season, where it was not favorable towards the beginning of the season. Second thing was the locker room. There was, and I remember this, and I hit on this so heavy when it got said. I mean, I remember talking about it, really talking about it. We played Minnesota in a home and home, right? And I can't remember if it was like back-to-back, like a Saturday, Sunday, or a Friday, Sunday, thing like that, something like that, right?
Yeah, it was a day between the two games, if I remember correctly.
Okay. The game that was on the Sunday game, which I think was on NBC or whatever.
Yeah, I think it was, yeah.
They were talking about, because they were in the middle of that 11-game winning streak. And they were talking about Berube and, well, what did you do in this? And Berube straight up, and he says, well, Berube told me that when I got in, as soon as I got in, there was an issue in the locker room. We had been told from the beginning of the season, there was no issue in the locker room. There is no issue in the locker room. Every reporter, every single one of them, said there was no issue in the locker room. But here, Berube, right in the middle of an 11-game win streak, which I question the validity of, or the power of this, the smartness of this. Timing of this, to sit there and admit that you had to go in and fix the locker room. That had everything to do with it.
Well, you've got to look at it this. One player can screw a locker room up. Look at the LA Kings and Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Yeah.
Pierre-Luc Dubois, Mr. Selfish. I think that's going to go down, guy, as one of the worst contracts, not only ever by the Kings.
Well, wasn't he in Winnipeg and left Winnipeg for the same reason?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And then he went to Columbus and did the same thing in Columbus?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, everywhere he goes, he really messes the locker room up. And, Drew Doughty, without coming out and saying it, basically said, hey, there's a lot of guys here that are selfish, and who he was talking about, and they're going to have a hard time getting out of that 8 point. Hey guys, if you're upset at Kyrou making money, be happy we don't have Pierre-Luc Dubois on this team.
Oh, I know. I put things out there like that. And that, there's no comparison, and they're both just bad contracts. Kyrou's is not a bad contract. Mm-mm. Oh my God, Kyrou's is not a bad contract. I don't think it's a bad contract at all.
Well, here's the thing.
The guy led you in goals and points last year.
Hey, here's the thing. I want you to look up at how many points Nylander has after he re-upped his contract, and now he's making 11-something plus. He's not played well since that big contract, since he re-signed, since he re-upped.
It's not. No, I don't think this has anything to do with re-upping. This has everything to do with him. The reason that his numbers are down this year has everything to do with Berube turning him into a defensive player and not worrying about his offensive stats. And because that's what everybody focuses on, that his mistakes are magnified.
Well, the problem is that because of the Cup win, Coach Berube, he did a great job in coming in that 2018-19. It was all a big blend. The players bought in, and probably one of the best coaching jobs to bring a team back probably in the history of the game. He did such a great job, but the players had a lot to do it too. Kyrou, like I said, he's so much better defensively, and people just don't see it. And it's frustrating to me and you. And people say, well, why do you bring up Kyrou? I said, I'll stop bringing up Kyrou when people stop bashing him. People have never played this game. It's hard, guys. It's hard to score constantly. Somebody brought up to me, that night he had 2 goals and an assist, Kyrie did.
Yeah.
I told the guy on Twitter, I said, stop bashing Kyrie. He had 2 goals and assist. Well, he should have been there for the last 4 games too. I said, do you realize what you're saying? Go and look before you open your mouth. He's had 5 points in the last 5 games. In the last 5 games, he's a point a game player. I don't know what else people want out of the guy.
Well, no, because he could. I've said this. He could score a hat trick.
Yeah.
Have 3 assists in the same night. Miss 1 puck, and that's what people would key on.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I don't like things that are called turnovers in the NHL. In my eyes, a lot of times aren't turnovers.
I'll agree with you on that one.
Just because the other team gets the puck doesn't mean it's necessarily a turnover in my eyes, because that's the other team's job.
Is to get the puck. Right? Yep.
If their job wasn't, and you can call them turnovers, but there's no, believe it or not, go look at the NHL stats. There's no such stat as turnovers. There's giveaways and takeaways, not turnovers. And that's the thing that just drives me nuts. And a lot of the times that he gives up that puck, you go and look at it. He is double or triple teamed, or there's nobody else around. He has gone into the zone and nobody comes with them. And because nobody comes with them, all the other team is right there. He's got no choice. Right? He's got no choice.
People don't especially people that haven't played the game. And people say, well, you can't say that they don't know the game. Well, I give people more credit when they've played the game and they have discussions with me than with people who haven't. Because until you've played the game, even you, Guy, you got in with the Warriors in practice there, and you broke your hand, and you've watched hockey a long time. I respect your opinion because you look at the game differently than most fans do. They look at the end result and what happened at the end of the play. They don't see what it took to make that play a good play and what it took to make that play a bad play. Guys, it's a hard game to play. I played it for a long time. I played it at a high level. I had D1 scholarship offers. Could I have made to the NHL? I don't know. Maybe with hard work, maybe. But I'm not going to sit here and say I could have. I can only give you my opinion based on what I know. And I will tell you, it's a hard game to play.
Well, I'm not totally on board. I get where you're going, Matt Lowe, and I want to go back to David's question here in a second. To play devil's advocate, you can't say Kyrie was given 100% every day before the coaching change. I think that's what fans were mad about. I think fans got told Kyrie wasn't playing good enough, no matter how good Kyrie played.
By the media.
And they jumped on that.
The media jumped it on, and another thing, guys, when you have a young player that's been a scorer all his life, was on World Cup was on junior teams or World Cup teams, and the Canadian Junior World Cup and stuff like that. He was on that 2018 team with all the guys that have been accused. Let's get past that. But anyway, he's a scorer. When it's not been a priority by your coaches because they know what a good scorer and talented scorer you are.
Yeah.
When you go to a system where your coach bangs it in your head constantly, be responsible. Don't enter the zone without somebody with you. Bring the puck back. If you see a puck go in the corner, head back out of the offensive zone. You question yourself when you're young.
Yeah.
A 32-year-old player, doesn't matter what coach coaches him, he's going to know what he needs to do to play the game. A young kid like Kyrie is going to say, I need to score, but my coach wants me to do this and put this first. And I have to be a 200-foot player. And I'll argue with anybody. Not every player on your team will be or is going to be a 200-foot player.
I agree with you. Now, this is a good question. I think the answer is easy. Most improved player over the first half of the season.
All over, or just like one facet of their?
No, all over. I think all over. Which player right now, from beginning of the season to now, would you say is the most improved? My answer is very easy.
That's tough. You go first.
Parayko. There is no doubt in my mind it's Parayko.
Yep.
You go back and you look at what he was and how people were on him last season. I don't think he was completely healthy. He's healthy now. He's got back. He's doing what he needs to do, and he's firing that slap shot now.
Guy, if you remember
cool.
correctly, after he was out with his back injury, I told people he was hurt, and then you started telling people he was hurt. Nobody believed us, and I said, wait, once he's healed, he will be like Bowmeister. You can tell he's hurt just like we could Bowmeister. And I said, once he's healed, you're going to really wish you hadn't said the bad things about him, because guys, I don't care what anybody says. The game of hockey is one of the hardest games to play when you have a bad back, especially when you're a tall guy.
Oh yeah, it is. I'm gonna Matt Lowe, I love you. Okay, I love you with all my heart and soul. I want you to know that. But I'm calling you out here. The only reason the fans booed him was because he was set up. He was set up by a reporter who knew exactly what he was doing.
Yep.
And absolutely set him up.
Yeah, I see people getting upset with him because he got teary-eyed and almost really cried. Guys, you know what that shows me about this young man?
Yeah.
He doesn't care showing his emotions. He wants people. Would you rather have a guy not be emotional and care about what he did? We want our guys to be strong when they're on the ice and be tough and physical, but he was really upset. He cares. Just like when Jake Allen was here.
Yeah.
I don't know Jake personally, but I know people that knew him personally. The way the fans treated him here, it upset him constantly.
Oh, I know that for a fact too. I talked to his agent.
Yeah, these guys have feelings too, and they're people just like you and I. And
I get it.
I don't want people bawling all the time, but he's emotional and passionate because he wants to do well.
Okay, 12. Hayes has come on. Hey, Hayes. See, the reason that I'm going with Parayko is at the beginning of the season that everybody wanted Parayko gone. Nobody wanted Parayko here.
Oh, he was going to Toronto. He was going to Florida. He was going to this team. Yeah, constantly.
It wasn't Luke Horrick that set him up.
No. Nope.
It was Rutherford who did it, not Horrick.
And even afterwards,
Rutherford came out and said, "I screwed that up."
Yeah, he did. And you know what? I'm going to tell you something. For Rutherford to say that, trust me, he knows he screwed up because he normally does not admit he was wrong.
Oh, he will not.
He will not.
Like with the Tarasenko stuff.
Yep. He wouldn't.
His response to Tarasenko.
Mm-hmm.
His response to Tarasenko was they've never denied it.
Yeah.
That's not backing yourself up.
No, it's not.
Okay? They didn't deny it, but they didn't confirm it either. Not the way that you posted it. So that's the thing. When you say they didn't deny it, they didn't confirm it either. And I know that for a fact.
You know what I miss, Guy? And this may be getting off topic. Yeah, reporters are supposed to tell you the truth, when it comes to stuff. And we seen like today, some young kid, 22, 23 years old, who wrote for Hockey Writers or HockeyRumors.com, wrote that the Blues are trading Jordan Binnington and Parayko to the Leafs for Ryan Reeves and 3 picks.
Not going to happen. No way. Not even. The league wouldn't. The league would. I guarantee you, if that was a trade, the league would void it.
Yeah, and
competitive balance. That is a trade that has zero competitive balance.
And people believed it, and people were direct messaging me. I said, guys, number one, when you see a so-called rumor, look up the source, do all the research you can on it yourself, and then make the decision. I said, do you think the Blues would do that? Well, no. Well, then, I wouldn't believe it because I know the source. He's a young kid, and he's just a blogger, and hey, he may know hockey. But some of these people make up rumors just for clicks. Guy and I are not like that, and I wish the rest of the media were like that.
Yeah, well, the sites and that's the problem. That's why guys that really want to be reporters or have that connection can't because of too many of those junk sites.
Yep.
But when it comes down to it,
hey Anthony,
when it comes down, hey Anthony, I see you, bud. When it comes down to it, you have to read between the lines.
Yep.
And that's what I do. I do it a lot. Now, I might start writing for a website. Writing for hockey for a website again. Actually,
Cool.
writing just sports completely. I haven't completely made up my mind yet.
Cool.
Right? It's a site I've talked to before.
Yep.
It's just it's a local site, and I have some concerns. I got to talk to the guy, and I love him. I love the guy. Right? I want to help him if I can, but I don't want to get into it. That's not something
I'm going to agree. I'm going to agree with Matt on this one. I think that one of the reasons Verona is up, they want to kind of get him out there to see if maybe he'll show something. The Blues, from what I've been told, the Blues know if they do get rid of Verona, at the trade deadline, they're going to get a 6th or 7th round pick. If they get a 5th, they would
for Verona. You know what I see for Verona? Future considerations.
Yep, something like that. You're absolutely. It won't be anything big, nothing like that, because hey, if he can go to a team at the trade deadline and do what he did for the Blues in those 20 games he played, and he got 10 or 11 goals, that team would be very happy with that.
Yeah, no, I don't see him. The guy that I see us getting the best return from. Who do you think are we going to get the best return from?
That would be available?
Yeah.
Scandella or Kapanen?
Scandella. I think we get a third we could get a third or a second. If it's a lower team, a team like a team that's going to really be up there, like, for example, I'm just going to throw, hold on a second. Let me.
Well, supposedly,
real quick.
Supposedly, the Oilers are looking for a cheap defenseman. I think what a lot of teams aren't going to be looking for that number 1, number 2 guy. They're going to be looking for the
Oilers. You get a third out of.
Yeah, probably. But the teams that are looking at Scandella, they're going to look at him as a veteran, stay-at-home type of defenseman, and they're going to make him their probably number 4 or 5 defenseman. They're not looking for a number 1, number 2 guy.
So the teams that I think would pay you a third are Vancouver, Boston, Florida, Dallas, Colorado, Vegas, maybe the Rangers.
Yeah, I definitely think
the reason I say that, those are the top 7 teams in the conference right now.
Yeah.
Those are a team that second round pick is going to be a lot closer to the third round.
Yeah, he's definitely gonna garner a 3rd to 4th. I honestly wouldn't give him up for a 5th, but I think he's going to garner a 3rd or a 4th, and I think it's 50-50 either way.
Yeah, it just depends on where that team is, where it's going to be. But I think if it's a higher team, you could get a second out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Question for Lance: are the Blues where you thought they would be at this point of the season? Thoughts on the second half of the season?
Guy and I both discussed it at the beginning of the season. I think Guy thought they would surprise some people, and I think they have surprised some people lately since Berube's been fired. They've been more consistent.
Boy, did I nail that! Did I nail that?
Yeah,
did I not say he would be gone before December?
Yeah, I think both of us agreed that, and I thought they would be around a 500 team, somewhere a couple games over, a couple games under. I think Guy and I both agree that they're probably around what we thought they would be. I think if they can play like they have in 90% of the games they have since the coaching change, I think they could make the playoffs before the season. I didn't think so, but
they still need 19.5 wins to make the playoffs. And
that's going to be
struggle
hard
for me. That's 95 points.
Yep.
95 points, and I think that's a struggle. Now, I will say, I thought they could do something, but I had them in 6th. I had them in 6th. The fact that they're 4th, to me, they're playing above what I thought, and they are. They're playing above what I thought. I want to see them continue that play, but they got. I think at the trade deadline, you have to look at this team and stand pat. There's nobody on this team right now that I would trade and get the value that player's worth for.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. If somebody, because there's a couple first round picks anywhere from 2019 to 2022. One's from Seattle, another guy from Boston. One of them's the guy in Boston. I can't think of his name. Is a big defenseman.
Yeah.
And he just can't crack the lineup because
Craigie?
they're really good.
Yeah.
If somebody said I'll give you him for Scandella, I'd take it in a heartbeat. But I don't think if the Blues do something, I think it's going to be minor number one.
Okay. Scary. I gotta slam you here. You say us making the playoffs is pointless in your opinion, and the reason you're saying that is because you want the draft pick. You want that top 16 draft pick.
He also could be saying it because he knows that it's not that they're not going to win a cup. But I don't think that way either.
But the thing is, if you look at the Blues draft picks, Robert Thomas was a bottom 20 in the 20s draft pick. Neighbors was in the 20s draft pick. The other one, Snuggerud, in the 20s draft pick.
Kyrou, the number one pick.
Kyrou was a second round pick.
The number one pick in the second round.
I don't think he was number one.
Yeah, he was a 30. Yeah, he was they traded and got. I thought he was the first pick in the second round.
I thought he was further down. Hold on,
No, I don't think so. He was 32nd to 35th, something like that.
I will tell you here in a second. 35th overall.
Yeah, like I said, 32nd to 35th.
Yeah, so 2016 entry draft. Our spot. Our spot was 26th.
Yep.
We got him at the 35th spot. So we either had made a trade earlier or
we traded down
that day.
Yeah, we traded down.
Okay.
We had
to trade it up. We had to trade it up, not down.
No, we had the 26th pick and we traded. We traded
Paige Tompkins and went the 26th pick.
Well, we got that Kyrou pick on a trade. I know that for a fact.
Oh, you know what? I think that we were supposed to have like the. Hold on, let me take a. No, we were.
Yeah, we were supposed to have the 26th and 29th pick, I think.
Yeah, we were 29th.
Yep.
And we traded the 29th pick.
Yep.
And something else.
Yep. I like Jason's question, and I'm going to answer it. Snuggie versus. You can keep looking what you're looking at. Snuggie versus Bedard. I'm going to tell you one thing. Snuggie's got a better attitude. He's more of a team player. He's confident, but he's not cocky and a little spoiled like Bedard is. Bedard may be better, but I'll take Snuggerud.
20th overall. Okay. Yeah. So what I was getting at was if Scary is saying that making the playoffs is pointless because you want the better draft pick, the Blues have done pretty damn well in the bottom, right? They found the talent in the bottom of that first round. And I'm okay with that. I think, and you have to look at it dollar-wise. If you want this team to do well every year, dollar-wise, they need to be in the playoffs. That is free money to the team, right? You complain about ticket prices and all that other stuff. Missing the playoffs will raise the ticket prices a lot more than not making the playoffs or than making the playoffs. Trust me. That is, if they don't make the playoffs, they don't get any playoff money whatsoever, and that hurts the bottom line.
Well, I'm going to tell you that I'm going to tell you
not get played for the playoffs.
I'm going to tell you this from experience. I had season tickets 1 or 2 years. I started getting season tickets 1 or 2 years after the Blues ended their playoff appearance streak at 28 or 29, whatever it was in 2005 25. Or 6. I got season tickets in 2008. They lowered the price of every ticket by 50 to 70% to get people in the building because people weren't coming because they were that bad. Now I will tell you this. After they got a better team, when Oshie and Perron were young and they played against Vancouver, I think in 2008 or 9 in the playoffs, just because they made the playoffs, my tickets went up $35 a piece.
Yeah, I can see that. If you keep the team intact, as it is through the draft, does that send a through the? I mean, and he said here as he meant through the trade deadline. To the trade, does that send a message to the team that you show? It did in 19. It absolutely did in 19 when this team stood absolutely pat. In 19, everybody thought people were going to get traded, and this team stood absolutely pat. I think they got Delzato for like a third round pick or something like that. I think Delzato was the only guy that they picked up at the trade deadline, and he was a non-factor. Snoogs is going to be a beast. Can't wait till we call him up after the NCAA season ends. We got to bring him up. I'm not completely sold on that. I'm really not.
I'm not either, because he can only play 9 games before he has to stay up.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think
no, that's right, because they called him up during the playoffs, so that doesn't count.
Yeah, if they call him up during
right.
if they call him up during the regular season, it does.
Yeah, it does.
Right. Dvorsky's 2 years out.
He's 2 to 3 years out.
All of those first round picks are 2 to 3 years out. However, they were very, very good at all of them were all the Blues picks, all 7 of them had very good world juniors, very good world juniors. Right. And that was important. Just kidding.
Everybody, like you were talking about earlier, wants number 1 draft picks. Well, you want to know why it's not that great to get a number 1 draft pick all the time, besides the top couple players? I just mentioned there's 3 to 5 guys available that were top 20 picks within the last 3 or 4 years that teams are looking to trade.
Oh yeah. No, it's well, here's the thing. Not only that, you go down and look at how few players from the 4th, 5th, and 6th rounds and 7th rounds make the NHL. The 3rd round is it. The 3rd round, you if you're a 3rd round pick or better, you have a pretty good shot of getting time in the NHL. If you're in the 4th round or lower, not as good. Now, from what I know of right now, the only player that we have on our team right now that was lower than a 3rd round pick, we have 1. And that's our pick, not somebody else's pick. But lower than a 3rd round pick is 1. And I think you know who I'm talking about. No?
Sorry, I just had a brain fart. Sorry.
Kessel.
Yeah, I like Kessel. Yeah.
Matt Kessel. Right? But Kessel was undervalued in the draft.
I think he was. Yeah, I think he was.
I remember when he got drafted, him and some other another defenseman, and the guy that used to do the draft picks for the Blues. I forget what his name is. He
Bill Armstrong. Bill Armstrong.
Huh? No. Yeah. This was like a regular guy like you and me, right? A reporter, somebody who would break him down, had thought he was being punked because they got the exact same player in the 5th round and the 7th round. Thing is, one of those players was undervalued, and that player was Kessel. I thought Kessel was highly undervalued, and he showed it in college. Kessel matured in college very quickly. So to me, let's say Kessel doesn't get drafted. While he's in college, he will get drafted again. Because he really, really picked his game up while he was in college.
He, all these people keep asking, Bolduc is going to be this, Dvorsky's going to be this, Dean's going to be this. They scored 95 or 120 points here. Guys, never, ever, ever judge a young player until he gets in the NHL. He's playing against boys and juniors. And in college, you can't even really, you can judge a guy more in the AHL because a lot of times there's older veterans and guys that just can't stick with a team, like Rosen, who comes up for a cup of coffee now and again, and other guys like that. You can get a better gauge on them in the AHL, but you really cannot do anything with how they look until they've been in the NHL for a couple of years.
So Bob, I'm glad you're here because I said something earlier, and I know Lance wasn't here. I haven't seen E for a while, so E might have disappeared. But I said this, and I put the Blues first half of the season, them not being as high, challenging for that third spot, being 11 points back, I put that on Armstrong. And I knew that as soon as I said that, people, whoa, wait a minute. You've been on Berube. Okay, I'm going to clarify this. The reason that I put, oh, okay, he's still here. The reason that I put this on Armstrong was because he had chances to replace Berube much earlier, and he didn't. I still believe that Berube was the problem, and that I think Armstrong let his pride keep Armstrong in that position a lot longer than he should have. Well, so in that way, I put the first half of the season on Armstrong.
Well, Guy, when he said, when the players kept going to him and, saying things about Berube, and that's when he made that announcement. He says, I told the players we're not firing the coach. He had to let Berube have more games, because if he would have fired him soon, the players wouldn't have respected him. They wouldn't have believed anything he said then. He had to let Berube hang himself.
But he should have, at the end of last season, when they ended up in 10th, that was the time to do it. That was the time to do it.
Yep.
Right? That was the time. I'm sorry. That was the time to do it. To give him that extra year, to give him, well, first of all, he had just signed a 3-year contract. So you don't want to eat as much. You want to get as much value out of that contract as you could. Problem is, you have to go back and you have to look at, and I can't believe I'm about to say this. Oh my goodness. I can't believe I'm about to. You have to go and look at what's going on in Philadelphia. What is that coach's name in Philadelphia? I cannot think of his name right
now.
Tortorella has had a few interviews lately where he has straight up gone and said, this new game is hard for me to coach. I see them making mistakes out there, and I just got to turn my head and let them make mistakes. He has started to realize that coaching this type of speed and skill will give you mistakes, and you cannot harp on these guys the way other one. Well, you know what? I don't even want to post that comment. Until these 5 guys need to have their day in court. I don't know what happened. You don't know what happened. And when people make all these memes and all that stuff, it really upsets me. Right? You know what? Until the day in court, I don't know. I honestly don't know. One of them was already out of the NHL.
Yeah.
And there's another one who didn't sign a contract this year that was originally thought to be it, but now he's not. I'll tell you what, if he doesn't pick up a contract next year, he's got a lawsuit. Right? That's fine. It may not look good, but until we know, but we don't know. We're only hearing what the media wants us to hear. There's a lot we don't know yet. That you did, E. That you did. You were not a Berube fan going all the way back to the bubble. I know that for a fact. All I know is if the cards are played right, the future is good for the Blues. It does look good right now. I mean, as long as you don't sell your future, and to me, I don't have a problem with draft picks in the 20s. I don't. And the reason I don't have a problem with it is because we've done pretty damn good. Now, are you going to get a generational talent in the 20s? Probably not. But how many generational talents are there out there? Right now in the league, there's 2. 3. Well, 3. I guess you could call it 3, but one of them I don't think is no longer a generational talent. That's true. I'll agree with you. I say they're playing above what I expected. They're in 4th right now. I thought they'd be a 6th place team. So they're playing above expectations in my eyes. Right?
And I think I said that they would get 5 or 6, and they would battle Nashville for those 2 positions.
Yeah, I didn't see them in fourth. I didn't. I don't see them right now. I was talking about, you look at the standings, right? The hold on, Winnipeg Jets have played the same amount of games of us, so they're the better. They're in third with the same amount of games played, so they're the better litmus test, right? Measuring stick. They have 65 points. They're 30-14-5 with 65 points, 663. We played 49 games. We're 26-21-2 with 54 points. We're 11 points back. We have to win 5.5 more games in the same amount of time as Winnipeg to catch them. I find that to be extremely difficult. Is it possible? Yes. Probable, I say no.
Yeah, that's the way I feel.
Kevin Hayes was the perfect Band-Aid to bring in, though. I got to say that move clearly stated we expect to be in the playoffs. Maybe.
I don't agree with that. I think Hayes was brought in as a stopgap. He's a guy that had a year or 2 left on his contract. He was a veteran that could rely on. And you know what I like about Hayes? He kept his mouth shut, even though he was a veteran player, and he got to know the team. And that's when when he really got to know the team and the players around him, that's when you started seeing him be more of a person you noticed on the ice.
Yeah, I think it took him a little bit of time.
Yeah.
My thing with Hayes is, you look at the original trade where it was supposed to be him and another defenseman and a draft pick for Krug and I think a draft pick or something else. There were a couple players in there, right? We got that Krug vetoing that was the best thing that could have happened, because you ended up getting Hayes for a pick that means absolutely nothing, a 6th-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
That's a nothing pick, right? A nothing pick. I think that Krug did the right thing, and Krug is one of those players that a lot of people would sit there and grade as a D+ or a D-, D- to an F+. That I sit there and I go, I think he's a C. Right?
Well, I don't understand why people don't like him, because people loved Kevin Shattenkirk. He's Kevin Shattenkirk. He's great with passing. Can score some goals. He's not a defensive defenseman. He can get a little, snippy and be a little guard dog at times. Yeah. But his prowess is offense, just like Kevin Shattenkirk's.
And I'm not going to completely buy that, Bob. I mean, I think last year, yes, but see, I think a lot of people are great, and I've said this before. There is, when I hear a lot of talk, and I hear a lot of this, right, about Army and what he did and all these contracts and the trades and all this stuff, I think in a pre-COVID NHL, yes, those were horrible trades. But in a post-COVID NHL, no, they weren't. And the 3 draft picks that we got, that we got, and the things that we got, he made of all those trades. I think he made one bad trade.
Well, you've also got to understand.
I think he made one bad trade in all those all those trades that he made last year. I think he made one bad trade. Which trade do you think that was? Possible on that, Bobby, but I'm not sure. He says he thinks there's no culpability.
You talking about the Tarasenko trade?
Nope. I am okay with
O'Reilly?
The Tarasenko trade. Huh?
O'Reilly?
Nope. I'm okay with the O'Reilly trade. Barbashev. We gave up Barbashev for a 3rd-round pick.
Well,
Barbashev was worth a lot more.
Nobody offered them more.
Nobody wanted to pay it. Then you should have kept him.
Well, he wouldn't
have, because if you kept him, he wasn't going to cost you $5 million.
He wasn't going to sign here.
Right.
He wanted more money. He definitely wanted more money. And you know that Matt Lowe said that talking about the Robbie Fabry trade and all we got was Jacob De La Rosa, and you and I both said that was a terrible trade. But guys, you got to understand, just as some other players have, Robbie Fabry he wanted to trade.
Oh yeah.
He asked to be traded. So that's not on the Blues. Did they
Yeah.
get
No.
shafted? Yeah, but sometimes when a player wants to be traded and you respect him and you want to send him to a place where he might do well, you move him on.
And not only that, I don't think that Fabry fit.
He didn't.
He didn't fit in
Nope.
Berube's system at all.
No, Berube didn't
Right.
like him.
Right. And he kid gloved. In fact, the kid gloving is what caused the second knee injury. Instead of him playing full force like he was supposed to, they had him go half speed, and that's what caused that injury. When players go half speed, they get hurt. That had a lot to do with it in my eyes, and I don't know for a fact, but that's how I feel. Right? Man, what a fun hour and a half. Thanks for coming. And I'm sorry about fucking that up.
No, it's I'm glad I checked. I almost didn't check till like 5 minutes till 9.
Yeah. Right. Fabry was amazing in 15-16 under Hitchcock in the conference final year. Yeah. And then the injuries came and he just never got out of it. He's done okay for Detroit. He hasn't been great, but he's done okay. He's injured. He's injury prone.
I think
he's more injury prone than Tarasenko. Everyone talks about Tarasenko. That is right now. If you go look at people's, did you hear about Tarasenko? What he did?
Yeah, he's changed his agent again.
He's pissed. Marc-Andre Fleury is pissed.
He changed his agent again.
He changed his agent again. He's a top. He's going to get traded. He's going to Ravens no trade clause.
And he's had a good season for what he's being paid on a terrible team.
Yeah.
He's going to get a lot more in trade this year than the Blues did when they traded him to the Rangers.
I don't think so because it depends on. Oh no, I don't think he'll get it. I'm looking at this game right now. Fleury was pissed. He got Eriksson Ek hit after he made the save. Eriksson Ek hits his pad trying to swipe at the puck, and then he also knocks the stick out of. It looks like the stick gets. I don't know if it gets knocked out or he drops it, but I don't think that gets reviewed for. If it gets reviewed, it doesn't get overturned. I know he was upset, but I don't think it gets overturned.
No, but after that, it's butt kicking time.
Well, I think it's 3-1 now. Oh yeah, he loses the stick on his own player, Letang. He loses the stick on Letang. The stick hits Letang. Can you all blow my messenger up at 11 a.m. Day learn from me, dude? If I gotta get up, if I come on and do the show, do a pregame, that's 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
7:30 in the morning. So if I gotta get up and do a pregame at 7:30 in the morning, you can get your ass up at 11:30 and be on the damn show.
I know you're gonna love this comment. There should be a siren going off or something in Granite City around that time. I'm sure that'll wake you up.
Yeah. Don't have any NHL games on Spectrum watching. Well, yeah, I have ESPN Plus, and ESPN Plus you get the out of town games.
ESPN Plus is terrible. You know, the NHL,
I have it on Hulu because my TV doesn't get ESPN Plus.
The NHL the NHL makes stupid decisions. They may get more money out of a place like ESPN, but they're not going to get the marketing and coverage and the attention from ESPN. ESPN's never given the NHL that attention to market it.
Even when the NHL was solely on the ESPN, it was on ESPN 2. You remember NHL Tonight? Because it was on ESPN 2?
Yep.
Yeah. Right? Well, Lance, that's an hour and 40 minutes. I think I've talked out. I want to take a pee break. Thanks, man, for showing up. Hopefully you can get your butt up and you can join me tomorrow for a pregame.
Yep. If I sleep well tonight, I don't I don't toss and turn for 8-9 hours, I'll definitely be here.
All right. Tomorrow morning we're taking on, and this is going to be a huge game. I think playing we've got a huge back-to-back. We got 3 and 4 nights.
Yep.
We have Buffalo, Montreal, and then
Yep.
Toronto.
Toronto.
You need to win Buffalo and Montreal.
You have to. You have to
absolutely
win
need
those.
to win those 2 games, and you need to play for the tie against Toronto.
Yeah, it would be nice to get 5 points out of 3 games.
Yeah. Now, I will tell you this. I will say one thing. I want to say one thing before we go. I haven't talked about this because it kind of slipped my mind. That last game, you know who I want to blame for that last game more than anybody else?
Who's that?
I want to blame the coach. You know why I want to blame the coach? Because he started the wrong damn goalie.
Yep.
Bennington should have played the game before, and then Hoffer should have played the game against Columbus.
Yep.
Absolutely should have.
Yep.
That was because against Columbus, with Hoffer in, as much as they play defensive, they also try and take more shots. They try and be a little more offensive with him.
Yep.
And I think that would have been the better team. That's just
Yep.
my opinion.
Yep.
But I will say that I understand the reason he did it, because that extra 2 days off for Bennington could have killed him.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So
yeah, I want to say thanks to Michael Dante for the nice little thing there. He put it there that he made his first half of his shift well, and
Yeah.
Bobby says Bob says he'll be there tomorrow to disagree with us.
Yeah. Yep, he's good at that. See you all. Have a great rest of your night. Thank you. You guys too. Yep, Ryan, you missed it, man. We've been on for the past hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Me too, Bob. Got to ruffle guys' feathers in the AM. It's funny. Thank you, guys. Look, I love you all, man. You guys have a great night. We're just trying to do our best for you. You know, and that's all that counts. So, Lance, thank you. Have a great night. Everybody have a great night. And you know what? Bob, this is just for you.
Who are you, Blues fan? We're bleeding blue with you. Let's go, Blues! Let's go, Blues! Let's go, Blues!
This is Guy and Lance for the BlueNote Fan Report saying aloha, mahalo, and you got to know we're always bleeding blue with you. Good night.